Hey guys, I'm Casey Armstrong. Guys, I got an amazing guest. She's going to be on in a minute. This is Shannon Knight's going to be on in a minute. This song is very important to her. I know she's pretty tight with her old man. Shannon Knight is the author of the book Grateful Heart, and it's available if you go to shannonnight.com. This is an incredible, world's most amazing people. Hey, you know what? Let's just hear the end of the whole. Come on.
Angels and the pearls, even trademark the color blue. Just like the tower we never built, in the shadow of all the guilt, when the other hand was pointed at you. Yeah, the first step is the one you believe in, and the second one might be profound. Follow you down.
Shannon Knight is somebody who has pretty much come through to the other side, has been faced with so many challenges. I mean, take, for instance, she got cancer the second time, and her soul basically said, hey, step aside, get the ego out of here. She understood, finally, that the sole purpose of her life was to learn how to love more and to have self-compassion. So now, she's got a mission. She's teaching other people that they can be happy, because happiness meant so much to her, and the happiness of her and her family as well. Shannon Knight, she's the creator of Angels for Shannon, to teach other people affected by cancer, and she raises money for alternative cancer treatments that insurance won't cover. She recognizes that each person, including her own family, has their own path, and she walked her own path. Her twin sister also got the same cancer and went through the same healthy treatment, and Shannon is someone who helps women go through cancer to have hope. Part of this is to encourage these women to give hope to others, and she says, when we give, we are also helping ourselves. So guys, this is one of my favorite guests. With no further ado, it's my honor and my privilege to have one of the world's most amazing people here with me tonight. It is the one and only Shannon Knight. Shannon, how are you today, my friend?
Casey, it's so good to hear you. I'm so proud of you and your whole show. I'm great.
Well, you know what? We got you here, and you know you're such an amazing guest. You drew so much attention that we actually we had you on our FM show. We made the entire hour about you. We had a part one, we had a part two. So here in New York, right in Suffolk County's 1.2 million people is the reach over there on the FM radio. Just in that market alone, I can't speak for the other 87 other countries that we're on, but you had an effect on people, and you touched a lot of people. Now, I know you got some good feedback. It's just incredible. If you haven't heard Shannon last week, it's been replaying here at the station. And it's incredible, guys. I'm speaking with the great Shannon Knight right now, and let's just talk just a second. Let me just refresh. Let me kind of tell you a little bit about the conversation we had last time. And this is you think brave people, you think that people that go through challenges, but Shannon Knight, she beat stage 4 cancer without chemo. That was back in 2011. And then she did an alternative cancer treatment in Mexico. When everybody told her, said, why don't you go to, UCLA?
Yeah, it was UCLA.
Yeah. So give me a little synopsis again. I know we went over, but I want to hear from you, Shannon. I'm not doing it justice.
When I look back on that time when I had to make that decision, cancer has affected my entire family. We've got 14 members that have been affected by cancer directly. I look back on that when I think of what you say as me being courageous, and that was my normal.
You didn't know you were doing something incredible?
No. It was like if you had picked me up and thrown me into Excalibur in the middle of the pit in the dirt and said, here, fight, there's a knight coming at you. What are you going to do?
I wouldn't know, because I don't know what it's like to be told, basically, you have a death sentence.
Right, you're going to die. You have 3 months to a year, and it was horrifying. So I knew, if you're going to be told that you're going to die, why would you do the chemotherapy that makes you so sick to your stomach? Why not go to God's pharmacy? Let's try to see what he's got. And that was in Mexico. They didn't have it in America.
What exactly was it again?
It was IV treatment, intravenous B17, Laetrile, intravenous vitamin C, ozone therapy, ultraviolet light on our blood. Our blood when we're sick. When you get cancer, you don't get a fever. They run your blood through ultraviolet light, and it cleans it like a muddy river. The far infrared heat therapy is used in so many different ways. It kickstarts your immune system, and your body starts to fight the cancer.
Now, this was over at San
Luis, Mexico. In Sonora, Mexico.
You got approached by a lot of people, and even before the program, and people say they look up to you because you got approached by a lot of people, and even before the program, but you give advice, and people say they look up to you because then it spread to your bone. You had bone cancer. It spread to your nodes, your lymph nodes, right?
And all lobes of my lungs.
So of course people are going to look up to you. And what do you tell them? How do you answer that?
No matter how many times you go back to your regular doctor, Western medicine is going to recommend chemotherapy, radiation, hormone therapy, or surgery. They'll lose their license if they don't recommend that. That's a standard care for cancer. So when you go to Mexico, like I did, was let's get to the root of the problem. Let's fix your broken immune system. Why are you getting cancer? I think the emotional connection has something to do with breast cancer. And it's like having a rose bush, and you see a bump on the stem of one of your roses, and you cut it off.
People are going to look up to you. Do you feel pressure because these people kind of idolize you, and so many people are inspired by you?
Yes, I used to in the first 3 years, because I'm a very empathetic woman, and I feel people's pain. So when most of the time people will contact me, Casey, at like the 11th hour. They've tried chemo, it failed. They've tried all conventional, and it failed. So they're going, like I did. I didn't do chemo, but I did do 20 rounds of radiation on my sternum, and I was such a mess, I just knew there was no way I could do anything conventional. They'll reach out to me on Facebook Messenger, ShannonKnight.com, info@Shannon. It comes in all around me. I don't get to determine the outcome. I don't have to take responsibility if they go to the same hospital or if they decide not to, that maybe I didn't say the right thing. This is their journey, and they need to trust their God-given intuition on where to go, what to do. I'm a woman who's sharing an experience of life-saving treatments and showing them that, you know what, there is hope. You can try this. You don't have to do the chemo if you're terrified of it. You can try this. And then if it doesn't work and you still want to do the chemo, go ahead. But you have nothing to lose with doing all of these healing treatments that I did. Nothing.
Well, Shannon, you're kind of a badass, and you're kind of you're kind of a real unique person. I don't see much scaring you, but looking back, you said you kind of, it was the flight or fight type thing when you got this, and you just didn't have time to feel bad for yourself or anything like that. Looking back, was there a certain part of it that was the scariest? Was it the relationship with your kids, that they had to see you go through this? Was it the unknown? Talk to me, because people don't know what this is like, and from someone who's beaten it time and time again, it's just an incredible story. Tell me what's the first thing that you are so concerned with? It must be a million, but
getting the money raised to get to Mexico. Mexico does not accept American insurance. So I was dependent. At the time, I was married. I was dependent on my husband for the Angels for Shannon Foundation that we had created. So all of the funds that came in went straight to him. I'm just starting to talk about what I went through, which we'll get into more with other interviews, but I'm just starting to open up fearlessly about the domestic violence and abuse that I went through at the hands of my husband.
Oh,
and I don't need to say his name, but the reason I'm bringing it up is because I can't afford not to. So it was a race, and it was getting the money, keeping peace, don't, make things shaky. It was a balancing act. And I knew, that's why I needed God so much. I knew that I had it to beat it. And at the time, I didn't tell my kids. I didn't let them know what was going on, because I wanted them to know that Mom was okay. And I know there's other women and quite possibly men going through this with the person that's taking care of them. So I've started to talk about this 6 years after my divorce, finally.
Wow. So,
like yesterday was my father is what inspired me to be honest and to stand in my truth, even if I'm shaking. On the Saturday before Father's Day, I met with him and spoke with him, and he inspired me. And I said, I can't afford not to talk about this anymore.
wow, your father, that sounds like an amazing guy. A lot of integrity there. Is that where you got your mental toughness from?
Yes.
Definitely, yeah.
He was in the Navy, a meat cutter, and then, high school, college prep professor at a Catholic school. You can only imagine. So I grew up in a very strict environment, and I was tough. I had to outsmart him sometimes to get out and have some fun.
Now, do you really think that happened, or do you think, looking back, maybe history is kind of the way we see it?
I think he was onto us girls.
He probably knew what you guys were up to.
Yeah, the little partnership. And he also told me, I had the blessing of hearing him say to me that he could just look at all of us kids lined up. He'd say what he needed, what information in our interrogation. And he said, I could just look at you and your eyes would well up with tears and you were dying to tell the truth.
That's awesome. So that's incredible. I mean, was he a source of comfort for you when this was going on, or did you feel alone when you go through something like this?
I did feel alone, but with the first time when I was diagnosed with stage 3 in 2006, I was living in Seattle, Washington. My father is an artist. He sent me an art therapy book, and he sent me all of his pencils, which are about $2 a piece or more. And I was bedridden. I had been through not just a bilateral mastectomy that caused a staph infection, but I went through my gallbladder being removed, bilateral, both knees replaced. They put the knee in crooked. The story's online when you go to shannonite.com, but I was bedridden. So I needed help. When he sent me those art supplies, that's when I learned about the therapy of, I would get those pencils out and I would draw fairies, and it symbolized freedom, their long, beautiful hair that was covering over their chest, which helped me because I didn't have a chest for 9 months. I was so sick. They didn't
Right.
even begin reconstruction. So my father was an integral part, and I don't think he even realized what he did for me with the art supplies. I would take each picture, and I'd put it in plastic and put it in my notebook and work on the next one.
Wow. It sounds like a very thoughtful guy. And I was reading something, I'm not quite sure about the whole story, but can you fill me in on this? He's got a metaphor, something about spaghetti. Can you tell me about what that is?
Oh, yeah, spaghetti. You know, he's Italian. So I love the metaphors that he gives, and he has many. And this one in particular on this Saturday, which was such a precious day, he said, you know, Jennifer, that's my real name, and I don't mind saying it on the name. On your show, you know I was a victim of a crime like my last interview.
Yeah, I know.
I went through the name change, but he goes, you know, Jennifer, life is like spaghetti. We have all these ingredients, these experiences that we're so angry about. And those of us who hold on to one of them, let's say, you know, your boyfriend cheated on you.
Right.
And you hold on to that. He goes, that's like holding on and sucking on the garlic or the onion. You can't. It's bitter.
Right.
He said, you have to throw them all into the mix to make this amazing sauce.
Wow.
And he goes, in the spaghetti all over the place, that's you. You're kind of all over the place. So you twirl it around all together on your fork and take that bite.
That makes a lot of sense because it's true. I mean, I gravitate to the one with the sauce thing. Like each one, you got an onion in there, you got garlic, you got a tomato. Everything could be bitter, it could be sour,
oregano.
Yeah. And then, but then it's somehow, with the right amount of each one and the timing and the care, it turns into something that only you make, and you take pride in what that is.
Absolutely. You know, the timing thing that you mentioned, even the wine when I was growing up, you can't just eat the sauce right after you pour the wine in. You have to wait. Let it simmer. That's our life.
That's a great analogy. That sounds like a bright guy.
You'd love him. I let him listen to our interview, and he just thinks he just loves you. He thinks you're amazing.
Well, I mean, it's easy when you interview someone like yourself, Shannon. Guys, I'm speaking with the great Shannon Knight right now. Shannon Knight, go to ShannonKnight.com, and also you can go to onewildflower.com, and also angelsforshannon.com. And angelsforshannon.com, that's when you raise money for other people, right?
I don't do it for them. You know that old fisherman story. If you want to feed a bunch of people, you got to teach them how to fish.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we did for me to get me to Mexico. My girlfriends raised the money. I was too sick, so I was in bed. I was painting wine glasses to auction for the fundraiser. And I swore that whether I lived or died, I wanted Angels for Shannon to move forward and teach the same fundraising model to others, which is more personal. It's not just a crowdfunding model where you just make a profile and they don't even know who you are. When you do something that follows the fundraising model of Angels for Shannon, you're transparent, you're letting them know you, you're letting them follow you and love you and want to give to you. And that's how it's done. Angels for Shannon teaches you how to turn your community into heroes. The Ma and Pa restaurant down the street, getting a gift certificate for dinner for two for an event, getting to know your community.
And guys, I'm sorry. Now that's how do people give to that?
Right now, I have not gone for my 501c3, but I'm in the process of getting it. And what I do personally is I donate myself books. I told you. So what they just need to do is go to Angels for Shannon, read about it. At the bottom of the page, it has crowdfunding accounts. It has links that they can click on so they can make that personal, endearing, heart-wrenching, you know what I mean? Slideshow, so they can add things and make a website. It teaches them how to create a website rather than just becoming part of a platform like GoFundMe.
Mm-hmm. I see. Now, let's switch gears here. Tell me about the book Grateful Heart.
Grateful Heart, I always knew I was going to write books, but Grateful Heart was a promise I kept. I said the very first book that I publish, I want it to be a feel-good book. So if someone is at stage 4 cancer and they open the book, no matter what page it is, there will be something in there. The content will lift them up. It will give an example of adversity and how I overcame it and how it shined a new light, a new perspective on my situation to help me get through the most challenging, worst times in my life.
Wow. And if you go to shannonnight.com, is that where you can get the book, or should you go to like Amazon.com?
Amazon, Barnes & Noble has it, and there is an electronic version of it for people who are in the hospital. Actually, it's available to anybody, but half of this book is a workbook. So, and it's a feel-good book.
What do you mean, Shannon? When you say it's a workbook, what do you mean? Do you is there like exercises for the person to do, or what?
I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
It's a 40-day journal, and I chose 40 deliberately. So you're going to read first about the memoirs of my life, and there will be more books like this. And then you're going to go to day 1. It's going to teach you the value of a gratitude journal. When we are at the worst times in our life, the best thing we can do is to be grateful for the little things. And I give an example in the book. I felt myself spiraling downward. I felt I was losing me. I was so terrified of cancer. So I had to force myself to start journaling and just writing 5 simple things that I was grateful for. And believe me, my handwriting was sloppy. I was sarcastic. Okay, I'm grateful for my spoon. I'm grateful for my straw, my flex straw, the little pink one. You know, I was just a pain in the butt. I didn't want to be grateful, but I recognized that I was losing myself. So I just started it. And I have this little saying, just smile anyway, and eventually the rest of your body will catch on. So that's kind of what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And this book explains that.
Gotcha. Guys, I'm speaking with the one and only Shannon Knight, and everyone should go to shannonnight.com. Also, well, that's the main one, shannonnight.com. You can get the book there. You get there's a whole bunch. It's very interesting. There's so much stuff there. You also got onewildflower.com and then angelsforshannon.com. Shannon, you're so busy and you're helping so many people. What do you do to make sure that you keep yourself healthy?
Very good. One of the things I teach in the book is self-compassion. And the very first exercise, what I would like to give as a takeaway, is many people don't realize their self-talk. So I still have the picture right now today, the same one I used back in 2010, of me as a little girl next to a pony. It's my favorite picture. I was 5 years old. It's kind of burned on the edges from a fire we had. And I talk to her. And this is how I remind myself of how, like, let's say someone does chemotherapy and it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And then they listen to my interview and they go, shoot, I should have done what she did. Mm-hmm. The very first thing I say to them is, no. Would you say that to your child? Would you say, how stupid of you to do that? I teach self-compassion, and that's how I take care of myself. We have to pay attention to our self-talk. If we have to make 10 pictures of that little girl, copies, and put them throughout the house, in the car, in the refrigerator, we have to start telling her what's our plan for her future so that she has a great life. How much is she loved? How much do I love her? And it's not about being conceited. It's not about self-inflation or narcissism. What it is genuine, heartwarming self-compassion and learning to be patient with yourself and give yourself a break.
Yeah. And you know, coming from you, I would say that, you know, there would be so many people, if they went through your challenges, myself included, if I went through half of what you went through, I mean, I would have cursed God. I would have thrown in a towel. I would have had a pity party. I don't know how I would have gotten through it. But you're telling me, and anybody who's going through this right now, it's okay to feel these things, but yet you got to have the confidence in yourself, and you will get it.
Yes, absolutely. And I even go one step further. I get these hard questions, Casey. You asked me. It must be difficult. The hardest question I get is when a mother calls me. Why is this happening to my baby girl? She's 26 years old.
Yeah.
I should be going before her.
Right.
That's a very difficult question.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to be able to answer it. I learned that perspective is our truth. And the perspective that I have now, that I delicately share, is that we're all going to die. And there's a time and a way to say that. I wouldn't just say that to a woman, a mother, who's scared of her daughter with stage 4 cancer. But I do teach it in advance that we need to realize that we're here for a purpose, like you did in my introduction. We're here to learn how to love better. Our ego gets in the way and tries to take over and think, and our feet are planted like we're going to live here forever, and we're not. So the sooner that we can understand that we're meant to have a purposeful life and to leave a footprint for other generations, and that those who have faith, like I do, in God, that our perspective, and this isn't as deep as some people will think, our perspective of death is different for each one of us. We're terrified of disappearing. And when we were born, we don't remember what that was like, that transition. Well, we don't know what death is like, and it's terrifying for us to have to look at it. And that is what I'm faced with in most of these letters, Casey.
Mm-hmm. And
giving them peace.
I see. And again, there must be a lot of pressure because you did this, and everyone thinks that you have all the answers.
Yes.
So it's got to be tough. You're like, hey, I'm just a tough, I'm just a tough girl, and I happen to get through this. But I can't say it's going to be easy. My question for you, Shannon, the biggest question I have is it easier to teach or is it easier to learn? I'm not quite sure what would be the answer to that question.
Good question. Well, it's kind of like this. We can't take someone anywhere that we haven't been already ourselves. So it's about the teacher and what the teacher has gone through. And it's about the student and what they're ready to learn, where they're at in life already.
After people told you and I'm quoting, the right thing that you're supposed to do when you have stage 3, stage 4 cancer, and you go a different way, you're not a doctor, but just something, you had a feeling. You probably know your body more. How did you feel towards those people afterwards? Did you feel at all that you wanted to let them know that they were wrong? Maybe they didn't put enough time in, or put enough thought in, or how does one feel after somebody tells you to get a certain treatment and then you save your own life?
We go through these lessons and transitions with our emotions and feelings, and it's kind of like a family gossip or whatever, but you feel a little bit of betrayal at first because you're dealing with the 5 stages of cancer grief. Mm-hmm. You feel abandoned because they don't understand why you're doing what you're doing. But I have an analogy that I use with people that call me. How do I do this? My mom doesn't want me to go there. She thinks I'm crazy. I've been through all of that, and I've learned now, several years out, that we've got to let them know that we still love them. But we're like standing at the dock, and our ship is getting ready to leave, and there's only certain people that would be qualified to be on that ship with you, that would be supportive, that would lift you up and be on your side for your choice. And the rest of your family, it's just a temporary journey away from them. We don't know what they're feeling on this journey. We don't know their grief and their fear and what it's manifesting into, which is anger and ugliness. So later on, I can look back and forgive because I know they went through something too, and they were just scared.
Yeah.
And it manifests in many different ways, like anger. So I don't have any ill feelings towards anyone at all that went through that with me.
Yeah.
I understand. It wasn't even, no forgiveness necessary.
I got it. Guys, I'm speaking with Shannon Knight right now, and I encourage you to go to ShannonKnight.com and also pick up the book, Grateful Heart. You can get that at shannonnight.com, or you can go to amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, wherever books are sold. You can get it there. Also, check out onewildflower.com and angelsforshannon.com. Now, Shannon Knight, I am lucky enough to have here at WMAP as kind of a regular and a fixture here for the next few months, and I'm so excited because there's a rumor. I'm not saying if it's somebody told me they told me this. Somebody told me that Shannon Knight might be in the next Simply Amazing book that is coming out about amazing women. I think that's it could be a truth, but I'll tell you more about that as we get closer to that date. But I will tell you, you will be hearing a lot from this incredible lady very, very soon. She's going to be a regular here. Her next date will be in a couple weeks, but I'll be telling you about when she's coming on, what she's got new, and what's going on. You'll hear a bunch of interviews from her at WMAP. So what quickly became a fan favorite is one of mine too. So Shannon Knight, one of the world's most amazing people. Can you leave us for this part? We're going to hear from you very soon, but can you tell me one thing that people should think about as soon as they wake up in the morning each day with what you've gone through? Should they be negative?
No, they should say, they could put a note to remind themselves. Thank you, thank you, thank you, specifically. Thank you for getting me through the night. I'm awake. Mm-hmm. Thank you for the blessings that are about to come. And thank you for all my family and loved ones that got through the night. But also focus on, because I do this too, I have two things that I do. The other one is I'm sorry for people that I've hurt unintentionally. Mm-hmm. Please forgive me, because I want that. I want to be forgiven. I'm not out to hurt people.
Right.
I love you to the people that I don't tell I love regularly. It's important. So I put it out there, like on Angel's Wings. And thank you.
Wow. What a great, amazing person. Shannon Knight. And then last thing, you guys know shannonnight.com, onewildflower.com, angelsforshannon.com. But the most important, go to shannonnight.com. Shannon Knight will be here. We have plenty more to talk about here, but it's always a great appearance when you come on, and you're just really incredible, and you always inspire people when you come on. I can't wait to hear what you got to say next, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and thanks for playing the song for my father and I.
Oh, well, I'd like to meet that gentleman sometime.
You would. He's amazing. I mean it.
All right,
and you are too, and I talk about you, and I'm so proud of you. So you keep doing what you're doing, because I know even greater things are going to happen. And I heard a rumor about Las Vegas. Is that real?
I think so, and I think that's what I got to figure out right now, even before dinner, maybe.
Well, that's where my daughter is having her baby, so I'm going to be heading out there this week.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. I'm going to be in Vegas for a few weeks.
Oh my God! Wow. Yeah. So
a baby girl.
Wow. So is that the first?
Number 5.
Okay, that's number 5. Wow. So cool. That's such a blessing. Wow.
Her name is Lily. I'm so excited.
Really cool.
Like the flower.
Well, it's once in a lifetime. All right. So I'll talk to you soon. God bless. Thank you so much for coming on the air again.
God bless you too, all of you at WMAP.
Thank you.